On an anonymous advice forum, a girl asks various questions filled with teenage angst. Why do I look like this? I have an ugly face, and my grades aren't good either. I like horror comics and heavy metal. I don't have any friends. And my nickname is Dumpling. Why am I being bullied for being ugly? I don't get it. But high school is no place for common sense. Carrying her dumplings, Lim Jugyeong gets tripped, losing her precious food while everyone snaps photos of her. However, she supposedly didn't mind the bullying. A boy then helped her out, noticing she liked heavy metal because of the look of her phone. Jugyeong was elated, finally finding someone she could share something with. So she invited him out to go to a concert with her. Huge mistake though, because his girlfriend knocked her over in the bathroom. Jugyeong didn't know the boy was dating someone, but it was too late, because these girls were going to teach her a lesson. Washing the makeup off, we learned the girl posted the embarrassing photo of Jugyeong on social media as a lesson to anyone who hits on her boyfriend. The students left various comments like, "I'm going to puke." Jugyeong tried to confront the bully to delete the photo and ended up scratching the bully's face. So in the counseling room, Jugyeong learned she was getting transferred to another school. However, she didn't want to go to school ever again. She was tired of it all. But suddenly, while lying in bed, she got a comment that told her to watch a video they linked on how to put on makeup. Jugyeong stared at the pretty girls, wondering if she could really be like them. She began watching more videos, at first overcutting her eyebrows. But soon, she got the hang of putting on contacts, applying mascara, and lining her eyebrows. She was starting to see a big difference. Looking at the pamphlet the counselor had given her for the Sebum Art School, she was determined to use the power of makeup to turn her life around and establish herself differently. Starting at her new school, the students stared in awe at how hot she'd become. Jaws were literally dropping. Two girls, Chaerin An and Suho Kang, welcomed her. And finally turning her face, she was getting likes all over social media. She had spent her entire winter break practicing and changing completely her face and school life, and now also having friends to hang out with. It was like she was a school celebrity. She wondered if making friends was always this easy. However, when the other girls mentioned wanting to eat dumplings in the cafeteria, this gave her horrible flashbacks to her old school. If the students had seen her bare face, she'd worried she'd be treated even worse now. She contemplated telling the truth, that she was a two-faced swindler fooling everyone. Elsewhere, at a burger joint, some guys were showing pictures of the new girl to Han So-jun. However, he didn't recognize her and didn't care. Back at Jugyeong's place, relieved to have cleaned the makeup off, her brother was thrown off. He couldn't get used to it and rather she wears makeup all the time. He decided to blackmail her by taking a picture and threatened her otherwise he'd post it on Insta. So now with her pockets nearly emptied from giving him her money, she wandered into a store looking to buy the latest horror title. Reaching for it though, she crossed hands with the handsome Suho. She apologized but he paid no mind, simply stating he saw the book first, so it was his to claim. However, Jugyeong stopped him, wondering if he really did, saying she'd read the previous edition 100 times while waiting. Suho stated he was a fan as well. So, Jugyeong tested him, asking what happened in Volume 1, page 42, confident in herself thinking he'd fail and give her the book, only to be shocked finding out he knew exactly what happened. The two then began testing each other on what happened during different chapters and volumes, and Suho eventually came out on top, leaving with the book. The next day, school was fabulous for Jugyeong as per usual, but she wasn't expecting to cross paths with that jerk from the bookstore. He walked by, not even noticing her, and that's when the two friends mentioned he was the handsome new transfer student the whole acting department went crazy for. The rumors were he had a horrible personality at a sociopath level, but it didn't matter to them because he was hot. Drawing the handsome sociopath in class, Jugyeong wondered if he recognized her, but no, with the difference in face, he couldn't possibly have. Not even her own brother recognized her. There's no way Suho would. Kang then rushed to Jugyeong's side to show her she'd been nominated as a candidate for the Sebum High Goddess. People had to cast their votes, and the winner would get everyone's attention. It's pretty much a popularity contest. The winner's every step would be shown on social media. Rumors even say just being a candidate lands you a talent agency. Jugyeong wondered who ran this contest, but supposedly, no one knew since the organizer's identity was a secret. The last 2 years, the goddess had been Soo-jin Kang, a girl with a nice body and 300,000 followers. Jugyeong didn't want to compete with her in any way, thinking there was a chance her secret could get out. She'd rather focus on her studies. But after school, there was no way to avoid her candidate status with everyone eyeing her. In her room, she read manhwa about a girl also faking her life, thinking she could really relate. However, with the chapter ending there, she decided to go to the store to hopefully find the next volume. But Suho grabs the next volume right in front of her. This time, she decided not to fuss about it, so she let him have it. But walking away, she accidentally dropped one of her earbuds, and Suho picked it up. Outside, she was sobbing because knowing Suho frequented the place, she couldn't go to the bookstore freely anymore. But she wasn't expecting to see him join her friend's study group. He immediately asked Jugyeong if they'd met before, causing her to panic internally. She denied ever meeting him, so Suho told them they should get right to studying so as to not waste time. After their session was over, Jugyeong walked off on her own, and putting in one of her earbuds, she now realized the other one was missing. Everything was a mess. Suho then appeared in front of her and put the other earbud in his ear to hear what she was listening to, recognizing the band as Heavy Metal City and giving her the earbud back. Now he knew she was the girl he met at the bookstore. We turned back to when Jugyeong was still down after being bullied at her old school and getting expelled. She wandered the streets, wondering why everyone treated her so poorly just for being ugly. She ran out, screaming to the Han River, asking what she did wrong, and that's when a familiar boy told her to be loud and drunk somewhere else, wanting to be alone in silence. Jugyeong argued he didn't own the place. However, he responded it was his favorite place to be. This only reaffirmed to her that she couldn't be here because she was ugly, even though that's not what he was saying at all. The boy began walking towards her, causing her to back away in fear until she nearly stumbled over the ledge. But Lee Suho caught her, saying if she wanted to die, not to do it in front of him. Then she pulled away and hurried off as he watched. Suho realized she was the same girl from the bookstore and offered her earbud back, even though she frantically denied it. She assured him the style of earbud he had in his hand was common. However, as he looked at it closely, it appeared to be custom-made or limited edition. She still denied it coming towards him, but when he got face to face, she was only more nervous as he grabbed her earbud and put it in his ear, hearing the same song, while she continued to deny it as a mere coincidence, since a lot of people like heavy metal. He told her as an acting major, her skills were terrible. And you know what? He was right. She stupidly brought up first that face from before, and her face now could never belong to the same person. So she dipped to the bus, giving him the stink face before she hopped on. Back in her room, she put her face on her bed in depression because she was totally screwed. After cleaning her makeup off, she moped while reflecting over how she just finally started enjoying her school life. But now, if her face got revealed, she could see the headlines saying, "Goddess contestant Lim Jugyeong's shocking truth has been revealed," and comments reading, "Freaking ugly without makeup. What a catfish." Her friends would leave her because she literally was two-faced and drop her from their study group, and she'd be left begging for them to come back. Now that things turned out this way though, it was game on. She messaged Suho and met him one-on-one at the bookstore. He was surprised to see her now, since she ran away from him initially. Things were getting serious, until she got on the floor and begged him to keep her bare face a secret, literally grabbing onto his leg and pleading because if anyone else found out, she might not be able to go to school anymore. Suho was quite skeptical though, wondering if it was really that serious. But for Jugyeong, this was life and death. She knew someone as beautiful and handsome as him could never understand. But still, she promised to do anything for him as long as he kept it a secret. He quickly agreed, which she found surprisingly nice. However, with a smug look, he reminded her she said she'd do anything. His first order was having her give him the comic books he wanted. This is how she became his errand girl. She would even do this at school, running back and forth to deliver things to him. She was exhausted day in and day out because Suho wouldn't give her a break. When she brought him juice and tried to take off, he remarked he wanted the ginseng flavor, which irritated her, but she still followed his orders. She tried leaving again, but Suho put the apple juice on her head, telling her she could have it. She thanked him but questioned his kindness. She wondered what his deal was, thinking maybe she should throw it away since he only gave it to her because he didn't like the flavor. Behind her, the students were gossiping about how she and Suho looked good together. But if only they knew, she thought of him as an evil sociopathic jerk who was just abusing her. dragging herself back into the classroom to rest. An and Kang wanted to know if something was going on between her and Suho. Jugyeong assured them they weren't close at all, calling him annoying. Apparently, he was known to have a lousy personality. This is when Jugyeong thought maybe if she told her friends Suho was bothering her, he'd have no choice but to leave her alone and be free. But this went out the window when Kang brought up that people were so crazy about his looks. Many girls wouldn't mind being bullied by him. After all, he had a handsome face and was quite intelligent. Dang, handsome people get away with everything. So could I get away with telling you to like this video and subscribe to my channel? Am I handsome enough? Well, if not, that's okay, because here at My Shoujo Weekly, I've got plenty of fun stories to share with you. A lot of them in the silly, goofy, haha funny romance slice of life stories like this one. I also stream on a weekly basis, where I yap about interesting anime topics and play games with you. So come on, hit that subscribe and join your boy live. Kang then brought up rumors of how Suho was an idol trainee during middle school. Back then, he was supposedly nice and well liked by others. That was until he suddenly went abroad and left school. But when he came back, he was totally different. Now learning some backstory, something about it bothered Jugyeong. After school, she got a text that told her to meet him in the acting department studio, now. So she ran to meet him, and inside, he told her to film him for a video assignment. When she started filming, she was blown away by his acting as he delivered the lines, "I like you, so why bother with anyone else? You're not allowed to be happy? Please don't say things like that. You could be a swindler, a spy, or even an alien, and I wouldn't care at all. So please, only trust my words. I like you a lot." And wow, despite Jugyeong thinking he was a sociopath, his sweetness when he acted made her feel like he was a K-drama star. When he glanced at her, she had to look away, muttering under her breath, "Why couldn't he always be like this?" He reminded her that every word she said was just recorded, and now that the mood was ruined, he couldn't act like this. She thought of this as her chance to leave, but she was sorely mistaken. At the theater together, she wondered why he didn't ask his friends to come with him, to which he replied he didn't have any. She tried asking what movie he wanted to watch, and he snarkily said, "One a sociopath would watch," annoying her with his pettiness. She then suggested a horror movie, since they were both fans of the same genre. So he nonchalantly took the flyer from her hand and agreed. But behind was a girl surprised to see Suho here. At home, Jugyeong reflected on her experiences with Suho, now contemplating the idea that he might not be so bad. Then suddenly, her brother appeared, telling her to go buy him a burger, otherwise he'd expose her bare-faced pictures on his phone. Picking up the order at the burger place, Jugyeong ran into two bullies from her previous school, and when she dropped her burger out of nervousness, one of them stepped on it, calling her dumpling to tease her like old times. She then ran out of the place, reminded once again of all the bullying she faced back then. She started to think Suho was just like them, being nice to pity her when perhaps in reality, he was just using her. She then got a call from him, but instead of answering his questions, she asked if she was just a toy to him and told him he was just like her bullies back then. She told him he could never understand what it was like being bullied and called ugly every day. Suho was astonished. He only called because he got the new volume of a book series they both liked. Back on Jugyeong's side, she realized her wallet was missing and ran back to the restaurant. It was there. Sojun's boys picked it up, wondering if they'd be able to get a reward for returning it. So he snagged it away, thinking it'd be better to give it to an employee. Jugyeong made it back and told them it was hers, but hearing they wanted to double-check with her ID photo, she frantically ran up to Sojun and tried to secure the wallet back, and he let her have it. At school the next day, her friends were excited as they talked about how she had the most likes as a goddess candidate. She kinda didn't want to enter, however, her friends were determined to help her win as a victory for their department, so it looks like she wasn't getting out of the contest. Continuing their way, they noticed a crowd around Suho and Sojun. They were already getting on each other's nerves, with Sojun calling Suho a murderer. As the boys grabbed one another ready for a fight, Sojun turned over noticing Jugyeong and, oh no, now two boys had seen her without makeup. It's about to get crazy. With them both looking at her, Suho immediately grabs Jugyeong, taking her somewhere private to hand her back her earbuds. He then asks if she knows Sojun, but she doesn't really, and wonders if he's mad at their phone call from yesterday. She's apologetic because she had just lost her temper then, but Suho didn't think much of it. Heading back to class, Jugyeong was on Sojun's mind because she looked familiar. He just couldn't put his finger on it. One of his classmates wanted to know his beef with Suho, but being the cool, bad boy that he is, he answered, "None of your business." The friend then showed him an image of Jugyeong, and that's where he recognized her, as one of the Sebum goddess candidates. In Jugyeong's class, the teacher is giving an assignment where all the students must draw a portrait of a student from another department. However, Jugyeong can only think about her troubles with Sojun possibly recognizing her. She was already having enough difficulty with Suho knowing. Being lost in thought, the teacher decided to have her pick a student first, and she was surprised seeing Han Sojun from the music department as her model. Her friends were worried that she wouldn't be able to finish her assignment, since Sojun often skipped school, but spotting him just around the corner, the friends pushed Jugyeong right into him. She apologized for getting too close, but explained her situation regarding the portrait assignment. And the students around them were having a ball, telling him to say she should date him in return. And ooh, a new couple? But with Sojun noticing Suho walking in, he tells her, "I'll think about it if your boyfriend Suho asks for me," and leaves. In Suho's class, the girl who had seen them at the movie theater, Kang Sujin, wasn't too fond of him being into Jugyeong. Seeing him sit down, she asked Suho if he wanted to practice acting with her after class, but he plainly told her to go find someone else and left, leaving her saddened. With the three girls walking their way through the halls, they jolted in fear coming across Han Go-on, and meeting her gave Jugyeong not so fond memories of her past. On explained she was from the music department, and in middle school, she was famous for her singing. Go-on had overheard some of her classmates talk about how she should have turned down the role of lead singer for the upcoming performance because her face was hideous. She really wanted to do well, since it was her first time as lead singer, but didn't want to get made fun of, hence the makeup. Even though the makeup job was bad, she felt like she had to do something because no matter what, she was determined to sing. This reminded Jugyeong of herself, so she offered to help Go-on with her makeup. Carrying art supplies outside with her friends, Sojun's shot bounces off the basketball rim and knocks into Jugyeong, making the paint spill all over her face. The friends were worried about her, but she was concerned her makeup might come off. That's when a cardigan covered her, and Suho came to the rescue. He signaled her to go wash up, so she ran off. Sojun snarkily commented that Suho was taking care of his girlfriend. Suho then told him he should apologize to her, but all Sojun did was laugh, thinking that was amusing coming from him. Having washed the paint off her face, she could see clear as day in the mirror. No matter how much makeup she put on, the ugly Jugyeong underneath was still there. Staring at Suho's cardigan in her room, she wondered why he was helping her so much these days. On the anonymous advice forum she sent, "My clothes at school got wet. The guy who used to bully me gave me his own. What does that mean?" She received various responses back, most notably ones inferring he was into her. But now thinking she should give the cardigan back, she asked him where he was, then shrieked lying down because she couldn't believe she was texting him. He told her to meet him at the Han River in 10 minutes. Not enough time to do her makeup, but she rushed over anyway. She arrived, panting out of breath, only for Suho to comment on how she was 2 minutes late, making her annoyed because he was hiding in the middle of nowhere. Giving him the cardigan back, she asked why he was here, to which he responded it was his favorite place. She gasped, realizing he was the one who saved her from falling over back then, and he was surprised she only realized it now. He asked her why she tried to jump back then, causing her to spit her drink out. She didn't want to jump back then. She just had a pretty rough day having been bullied at her school for being ugly. She tried makeup, having done a terrible job then, and after confessing to the cafeteria worker, she was laughed at and ended up on the school's message board. But after all that, she didn't mind the bullying. She knew difficult and sad times would all pass one day. Suho was surprised to hear all she endured, but she knew that if she kept on a little longer, that one day she'd be happy. That particular day, though, she wondered if she deserved to be happy at all. Things took an awkward silence, so she laughed it off, telling him this was the reason he had to keep her face a secret. He looked away, telling her he thought she looked the same with or without makeup, making her wonder if his eyesight was bad. He empathized with her, thinking he understood why she was doing this, because when he acts, it's like he turned into a different person, reminding him of his middle school days where he used to hang out with Sojun. Walking back, noticing Jugyeong was a little chilly, he offered his cardigan to her again, telling her to keep it. and she walked all the way back wearing it. Joyoung arrived in the dressing room, ready to help Goon on the day of her performance. Joyoung did her makeup, determined to make sure no one would make fun of Goon on this day. And giving her performance, the boys thought she was pretty, and Joyoung was brought to tears. Joyoung congratulated her afterwards, and that's when Sojun appeared to also congratulate his sister and give her flowers. Oh no, now that Joyoung thought about it, they did kind of look alike. Goon then introduced the girl who did her makeup, and with Sojun recognizing her, Joyoung made an excuse to run off. She just couldn't catch a break. She then suddenly got a notification that Soo Jin from the acting department followed her on Insta, and she complimented Joyoung for being so pretty. Joyoung then got a message from Goon, inviting her over to dinner, and despite wanting to refuse because she knew Sojun would be there, she couldn't refuse with their mom having made braised short ribs. Goon welcomed her in, and Joyoung was excited seeing an array of food, but wasn't expecting Sojun to come walking out shirtless after a shower? The girls then screamed, covering their eyes. He apparently had just woken up, and scurried away to go put some clothes on. He was embarrassed, wondering what Joyoung was doing here, having dinner. That's where Goon learned the two knew each other. Afterwards, Goon told her older brother to walk Joyoung home, since it was dangerous at night. And on the way there, he kindly thanked her for helping his little sister. He even agreed to help her with the modeling assignment, and she was excited, giving him no opportunity to take it back now. Later, she went to hang out with Soojin at a cafe, thinking of her to be beautiful from her face to her body, all while Soojin thought of Joyoung as a beanpole. She could tell Joyoung's skin wasn't great, and that her makeup was heavy, but she played coy, complimenting her as they sat down for drinks. Since they were both candidates, Soojin brought up how being one is hard, as it tended to interfere with having a private life. And walking to school the next day, Joyoung could only think of withdrawing her candidacy out of fear of being exposed. But she wasn't expecting a notification for her first mission as a goddess candidate to start, and all the students standing around having to cast their votes. The first mission for the goddess competition is a dance contest. Learning this, Joyoung felt like she was cursed, since she couldn't dance to save her life. She needed to tell everyone she was quitting, but walking into the classroom, she could have never expected Kang wearing a cheerleading outfit and shouting into a megaphone. She and An were determined to lead the art department out of the shadows with Joyoung's victory. They chanted together in fiery passion, hearts ablaze, to remove the nerdy image their department had. Uploading a single picture with Joyoung gave Kang a 500-follower boost on Insta, with every fiber of her being wanting to quit previously. There was no way Joyoung could even think of letting her classmates down now. She was nervous at the thought of disappointing Kang and An, but remembering Soojin could easily take it all with her talent and beauty, Joyoung felt a little less pressure dropping out. Outside, Soojin was trying to get Suho to film her dancing video for the goddess competition. He asked, "Why should I?" as cold as you would expect, to which she basically responded, "Ooh, I'm most comfortable with you." He really didn't care though and just left her, leaving her to only stare at a text containing a picture of him and Joyoung that asked if the two were dating, pissing her off. In the bathroom, Soojin finds out Joyoung is still competing even though she has zero dancing experience. Switching her irritated face, Soojin says she'll discuss her own dance video with Suho, since he agreed to help her. She was just so lucky Suho and her have been friends for a long time, touting how they helped each other even as kids. Joyoung began to visibly look distraught, but accepted her place. The days went on with the other goddess candidates all practicing their dance moves. Joyoung was totally discouraged, believing she had no chance of keeping up with any of them. She then got a message from An showing a sexy dance she could do for the contest. She tried to practice it in front of her brother, but it was so bad he had to run and scream out with his eyes closed. At school the next day, she tried to greet Suho, only for him to immediately tell her to meet him at the Han River after class. He wanted her help while he practiced acting. She agreed, somewhat scoffing that he was back to his old self. Sojun then jump-scared her, asking when she wanted to draw him, and to hurry up before he changed his mind. She tried for tomorrow, but man, both these guys are rude. He tells her it has to be today because of his part-time job, while walking away. So unfortunately, She had to apologize to Suho for canceling their plans together. Walking towards the music department classrooms, she stared in awe, hearing the beautiful guitar and singing, courtesy of Sojun. Her eyes sparkled. She thought he should debut right on the spot. However, she got annoyed at her eavesdropping and told her to finish her painting because he was a busy guy. She was thoughtful, saying she'd go fast if he was getting tired, making him blush a little. He then brought up her boyfriend Suho would get mad if he found out he was her model, now learning through Jooyoung's frustration that the two were in fact not dating. She thought Soojin was a better fit for him anyway, since the two had known each other since childhood, and Soojin was super popular and elected goddess 2 years in a row, while she was on the verge of failing her first mission. He agreed she was gonna fail, definitely annoying her, but this made Sojun crack up and he couldn't stop laughing. It was nightfall by the time she finished her beautiful painting depicting Sojun. He remarked it to be not bad and offered her a ride home. She screamed on his motorcycle, questioning if students were even allowed to ride these. Holding on tight though, her screams of fear quickly became screams of joy. However, dropping her off, Sojun warned her not to get too close to Suho and Soojin, not elaborating why. Wandering the halls with her portrait, Jooyoung nervously hides it coming across Suho. The two agreed to meet at the Han River after school, with her running away. She scurried her way to meet him after school, learning he already submitted his video for his acting class. He didn't actually call her here for help with that, instead more curious about how her goddess mission was going now. So, she showed him the dance she wanted to learn, making him smirk because he wasn't confident in her ability at all. Later that night, she got a call from Soojin, asking if she wanted to go on a blind date. One of Soojin's friends really wanted to meet Jooyoung after seeing one of her photos. Seeing his profile photos, Jooyoung was impressed at how mature this boy seemed. Surprised to find out Soojin had already given the boy her number and was asking to go on a date with her this Saturday. Kang and An were making an uproar in class, thinking the boy to be quite handsome. Jooyoung tried to blow off meeting with him because she had to study and focus on the goddess competition. However, Kang gave her a speech, saying this might be Jooyoung's only chance to date someone from another school, to put her worries away and go at it with her whole heart. Meeting with Hyunwoo Jeong, Jooyoung was surprised he looked much better in person. Hearing him talk over their cakes and coffee, she thought even his voice was nice. He apologized for being a little too much, especially pestering Soojin to set up this blind date. He hoped she didn't misunderstand, since this was the first time he'd done something like this, and all Jooyoung could do was blush and look away. With their first date wrapping up, and the two having vibed really well, Jeong admitted to having fallen for her, and asked her to be his girlfriend? He apparently wanted to ask her the entire time. Looking down, Jooyoung wanted to, but walking home, she remembered the bullying she experienced the last time she tried to ask someone out. She then began gushing, remembering all the compliments Jeong gave her. She'd never felt this elated before. Meeting Kang for their usual study session, Suho asked where Jooyoung was, learning from Kang that Jooyoung had been doing dance practice and meeting with her boyfriend. She was super busy. Suho was curious, so Kang showed him their picture together. Jooyoung had even posted on her Insta that they were a couple now. With her arrival though, Suho seemed quite annoyed. On another day, Jooyoung would be surprised to find out Jeong wanted the two of them to do a hotel stay. He gaslit her, saying he hoped she wasn't thinking of anything weird and that hotel dates were super popular lately. Oh, they were even gonna spend a wholesome time watching movies and talking. Bro, I'm not really convinced. Working his part-time, Sojun noticed the two checking in. Jooyoung didn't know what to do, but then Jeong held her hand, leading her to their room. She was wowed by the beautiful view, but then quickly distraught with her boyfriend telling her to put this swimsuit on he brought for her. It was a little too much for her. Unbeknownst to Jooyoung though, Jeong had installed a camera to spy on her changing, and Sojun overheard him talking about it to someone over the phone. When Jeong went back upstairs to the room, he was met with Sojun running at him and slugging him in the face. Sojun had the camera in his hand, and Suho was also there, dialing for the police. We turned back to after when Suho learned Jooyoung had just gotten a boyfriend. He had been scrolling through Jeong's Insta, digging up info on him. What he gathered was that Jeong was an art student who attended Seorim University. At that point, Suho decided to call his buddy, who went to the same school. The friend told Suho that Jeong was a thirsty piece of trash, who cheated on 4 girls at the same time. It was so disgraceful, he had to take a semester off from school. But now, he was supposedly a regular at nightclubs. The friend didn't know Jong personally, but he thought it best for Suho and anyone who knows to stay away from him. Kang then arrived for the study session, whispering Jugyeong wasn't going to join them because her boyfriend suddenly took her to her hotel. We turn to the point in time where Sojun overheard Jong talking about how this wasn't his first time doing something like this. Sojun followed Jong from behind as he was heading back to his room to steal his keycard, delaying his return to Jugyeong. Sojun wasn't expecting to get a call from Suho though, who appeared panting and out of breath, running to make it as fast as he could. Jugyeong lies down, guard removed, thinking Jong wasn't a bad guy. Her biggest fear was what if her makeup washed off in the hot tub? The swimsuit was an afterthought, because she needed to put waterproof makeup on right now. But that's when the boys started banging on her door. She answered, surprised to see Suho and Sojun especially together. They stormed in, going through everything in the room, until Suho found the hidden camera. Jugyeong was flabbergasted, and the events that followed were where we last left off. Jong dusted himself off, annoyed because everything was going well until these 2 insects came to mess everything up. Sojun threatened him to say that again, but Jong revealed that this was all Sujin's idea before slapping Sojun's hand off and running away. They followed Jong, who made it past the crosswalk. Suho attempted to follow further. However, the red light came on, which meant bad news for Suho. Afterwards, we see Sojun checking in at the hospital, and in Suho's room, Jugyeong was crying and blaming herself. Sojun told her everything was going to be alright, and that she should go home and rest. He'd stay with Suho. Sitting outside the room, Jong's words about Sujin plotting all of this rang in her mind, so she called to meet Sujin at a cafe immediately. There, Jugyeong asked if Sujin had anything to say, presenting the mini camera and detailing all of the steps that caused this mess. Jugyeong wanted the truth, otherwise she was going to call the police. However, Sujin was wicked, telling Jugyeong she had no proof. Jugyeong challenged this, because she had footage from the camera where Jong admitted everything. However, Sujin challenged this, saying who would believe that pervert Jong? She scoffed and laughed, because however could a high school student convince someone from university like Jong? Sujin then threatened Jugyeong with rumors that she followed a man to a hotel. This deeply hurt Jugyeong. She thought Sujin was her friend, and because of this whole scheme, Suho got hit by a car. This freaked Sujin out, but she took no blame, only saying it was Jugyeong's fault for being so crazy over a guy, and put all the blame on Jugyeong, saying it was her fault Suho got hurt, before taking off. Back at the hospital, Sojun called Suho an upright idiot who had no fear. Even in his younger days, Suho always protected his friends from bullies. It was at this time, Sojun got in on the action as well, tossing a book at one of the antagonizers, and with the bully swinging at him, Sojun easily took him down with a single kick. Afterwards, Suho's friend, Yoon Se-yeon, decided to thank Sojun by offering him a drink. He even complimented Sojun's singing, making him blush. He heard Sojun sing often behind the school where he hid to avoid the bullies. He liked Sojun's singing so much, he'd been planning to persuade Sojun to join him and Suho as idol trainees. However, Sojun rejected him, claiming he was too busy. Regardless, Se-yeon would pester Sojun to join day after day. But one day, Suho came behind him to ask if he'd seen Se-yeon. They met later after Se-yeon had gotten beaten up. But still, Se-yeon was so positive. Sojun asked him how he could be so unfazed, because seeing him hurt made him angry. So, Se-yeon responded, the hard times would pass someday. It was a line from a song he really liked. And no matter how hard things got, as long as he remembered that line and kept going, he knew he'd reach a happy end. These words touched Sojun. He finally agreed to audition for idol training, making Se-yeon happy. The three were the closest of friends, and excited that Se-yeon was going to be the first to debut. One night at the bookstore though, Suho had woken up from a breaking news report. That day at 7 p.m., idol member of No Time, Yoon Se-yeon, was found dead. He left a note behind, apologizing to his grandmother and friends. He had made this extreme choice after suffering from depression caused by bullying. Suho was completely horrified, and on his phone was one missed call from his dear friend Se-yeon. Sojun blamed Suho for their friend's death. He cried his heart out, with no response from Suho as the rain continued to pour. Jugyeong wandered around the Han River, suddenly getting a call from Kang, who explained a weird rumor was going around their school's bulletin board. People were talking about how Jugyeong was a party girl and her boyfriend was a regular clubgoer. They shamed her. Jugyeong thought becoming pretty would make a difference. She wondered how long she would stay like this. She fell easily for the smallest bit of kindness, only to be ignored and bullied. She got scared and ran away and was frustrated because underneath all the makeup, she was still the same girl. She ran, facing the Han River, thinking about the horrible words Soo-jin spoke to her. She thought to throw the evidence she had away because she was sick of it all. She wasn't going to run anymore. The next day, she put on her makeup, using a darker shadow than she normally did. She went right up to Soo-jin Kang, telling her she had one last chance to apologize. She wanted Soo-jin's apologies for the things she did and false rumors she spread. Soo-jin tried to brush Jugyeong off, but that wasn't going to be enough anymore. Jugyeong took Soo-jin's mirror and threw it to the ground where it broke. Most of the girls at school didn't really believe the ridiculous rumors of Jugyeong to begin with, but still, Jugyeong wondered if this was the right way to go about things. Man, this episode took a darker turn than I thought it would. Subscribe to the channel for next week's episode. Also, watch this next video. It's me, ComfyTea. I'll see you all in the next one.